Everybody, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Matt.
Hey guys.
Me. We're at Matt's place and we are doing yet another listening party of one of our favorite bands from the last couple of decades, The Darkness. They, if it seems like we just did one, it's because we only did one 2 years ago with Pinewood Smile. I love the fact these guys are so prolific. They're not extreme or they're winger, and they're not taking years and years in between albums. They're very, like every 2-3 years they're popping in a new album, and they've
good
been,
records
been
too.
quite good. Yeah, the level of quality is there. So this time around they've got a brand new studio album out. It's been out for a few weeks now at this point, called Easter is Cancelled. We'll get into that a little bit. But it's been, and like their last couple of albums, it's been released in various formats. Matt and I are going to do a listening party as we speak. So we're going to start the album off.
So we both actually ordered a cassette.
You'll see.
It's pretty cool.
You'll see my cassette in front. Actually, their last 3 albums they put out on cassette, and I was saying
like almost like a clear cassette this time.
Yeah. So I was saying to Matt, their last 3 albums they put out on cassette, I have foreign versions of their first 2 albums. So Hotcakes and Last of Our Kind are actually the only Darkness albums that have not been put on a cassette, which is pretty crazy if you think about it.
I'm gonna crack open my CD here.
Yeah.
So first track, Rock and Roll Deserves to Die.
Yeah. And this is the only song at this point that I've heard. I made it a point I wanted to hear it mostly new when it came out. As usual, video is very funny for the song. Acoustic intro, of course, it kicks in.
They posted this album cover a while back.
Yeah, and I remember
kind of
Matt sending it to me. I'll actually show you the vinyl version too. So he's got his CD, but here's a bigger copy of it. And I think we both kind of had the same reaction. Like, are they serious? They're really going to go ahead with this?
Yeah, sometimes they'll do like a placeholder image.
Yeah.
No, that's the one.
No, they're committed to it. Now, as the time went on, I don't know if you can really tell that, but that's all the band members in various positions. And I didn't notice this for the first little while, but at the top of the cross here, there's a Roman numeral 7. I'm assuming this is their 7th album, 7th studio album. There we go. That's when you know it's The Darkness.
It's on Cooking Vinyl.
Yeah, as their last few have been, also under the name Canary Dwarf, under exclusive license to Cooking Vinyl. This is how they put their last few albums out. So
this is a concept album.
Yeah, and once they explained the concept album, once that came out, it was like, okay, the cover begins to make a little bit more sense. They also did a really funny video. Remember the video intro where they're just kind of walking around talking about the album? And this was a while, because I remember thinking, already? A new album already?
Yeah.
But with the album artwork, it was like...
Now, this one, the first one in a while that they haven't done on like a campaign, like a pledge music or a...
We all know what happened with pledge music, so yeah. So this vinyl, I actually ordered this vinyl from Amazon, but Matt got us each a CD and a cassette directly from the band, which is probably the best way to go.
From the UK?
Yeah. So it's directly to the band. That's how you know. And I've always wondered, does that count towards their UK album sales? I can't imagine why it wouldn't, because they've still got. They've never really caught on over here, unfortunately, except for their very first album. But I think in the UK, I mean, obviously they play some pretty big festivals and things of that nature. I just think they're fantastic. There's,
They just did a thing with Ed Sheeran, I think, not too long ago.
Yes, yeah.
Weird Bill.
If you watch their Instagram, it's called The Actual Darkness, and you never know who you're gonna see pictures of them with. So this is orchestral. There you go. Which honestly, Justin Hawkins' voice is the biggest thing. If you can get past that hurdle, there's a lot to like about this band. It took me a while, but once I did, I'm like, these guys are fantastic. But that's old news. Talking about this album itself, yes, it is a bit of a concept album. Do you know kind of what the concept is?
I don't. I really tried to stay away from hearing very much of it or delving into it because I knew we were going to do this listening.
Yeah, just listen to it in its context of where it falls on the album.
I should mention too, so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 10 songs, and then we got the deluxe
CD.
Deluxe CD, 4 extra songs, and we'll talk about those later.
Yeah. And, you know, the bonus songs on the Pinewood Smile album, they're all really good. I mean, you know, I just think they're a very prolific band.
Yeah.
And they tend to, I don't want to say they overwrite, but they're prolific. So they write a lot of songs and then they whittle it down. They've got an overabundance of extra songs. And it's a shame that they don't have the rights to the first 2 albums. Atlantic Records would own those, but there's a ton of B-sides just from those 2 albums alone. But okay, so let's get into the album. This is the vinyl version. It's got 10 songs on it. So you got 4 bonus tracks and parental advisory, of course. That's very late 80s, early 90s nostalgic for people our age. So yeah, the CD here, which Matt and I, we both opened our CDs. It's so the back of the tray just has the logo, and here's all the credits.
I'm pulling my book with
written here. Just looking through the credits here. Of course, this is the second Darkness studio album that Rufus Taylor has been the drummer for the band and played on. And I'm, you know, looking at their individual thank yous, and I thought this was funny. If you've seen Roger Taylor lately, of course, the drummer from Queen, he thanks my father, Christmas beard-wearing father. He does have a pretty bushy beard these days. And lyrics to all the songs, but there's a picture of the band. They do these typical, well, not unlike the gatefold from Pinewood Smile, but Justin Hawkins always likes to do the spread. Yeah. And he's, for some reason, wearing a Julio Iglesias t-shirt. And his brother Dan Hawkins, lead guitarist, I'm guessing he must be an enormous Thin Lizzy fan because he's always got the black and white Thin Lizzy shirt on. So this song's called How Can I Lose Your Love?
Sounds like it's the flag waver on the album, kind of a little ballady, a little...
Yeah. So they write these... The tongue-in-cheek, I'm afraid, sometimes overshadows the fact that these guys, they write great rock songs. They've got a sense of melody. I don't know, I just think they're really, really good at what they do. And they don't take themselves too seriously. But I think they take their music seriously. The music's well constructed, great guitar playing. It's very classic in a lot of ways. They believe that there's room for, you know, guitar solos. Like, you know, Justin's always said their breakthrough single, I Believe in a Thing Called Love, at a time when there were no guitar solos, they put a song that had 3 guitar solos, which that, you know, that spoke to me. It's like, all right, you know, this is a band I can get into and follow, which we have. Yeah, Pledge Music, they completely went under. The very last thing I got from Pledge Music was the cassette versions that we each have of Live at Hammersmith. And that, it wasn't long after that they went into all that mess. It really messed up Queensryche. So now it's basically order it directly from, and basically I think all these bands, they figured out a way to do it themselves, you know, and market it in so that it makes sense.
They haven't changed their sound at all.
No. It's not overproduced. I don't know, it's just, to me, it's just right. It's full-blooded production. You know, you can hear the bass. Everything's very clear on it. The drums sound, they're not overproduced, but they're not. I don't know. I just, and the thing, that's another thing. Who's producing them these days? Dan Hawkins, so their guitar player, and that sometimes that works when you're self-produced. Sometimes it doesn't. But they seem to know what they like and go for it. And
like a little gal becoming good.
yeah. Oh, this is Live Till I Die.
I'm just gonna check on things over here.
Yep.
Very cool.
Another thing that I like about the Darkness is their lyrics. They're not typical lyrics, and they're very British. sometimes you have to follow along to know what he's saying, but
Yeah, when he talks about different like
places.
landmarks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's fun. It's fun to.
And they don't make any attempt to hide their Britishness. And the cool thing is too about other than Rufus, who's quite a bit younger, they're like our age. They were all born in 75, 76, around that era. So, you know, I saw an interview that they did when Pinewood Smile came out with Eddie Trunk. They were talking about Aerosmith, and Justin said his favorite Aerosmith album was Pump. I'm like, right on. So, you know, they're the same age as us.
Yeah.
It's just they went on to do.
Yeah, he wasn't like all rocks or like.
Yeah, like because a lot of older folks will point to Rocks or Toys in the Attic, but if you're a certain age, that's when you get into it. Now, usually I would go back and discover a back catalog, which is fun in of itself, but the first thing that catches you is usually going to be the one you have the.
Yeah.
You know, no one's going to tell me Hysteria isn't the best Def Leppard album. You know, the purists will say, oh, no, it was On for the Night or High and Dry. But, I like them. But and it's more than just the music. It's the connection that you have with it. But, yeah, Permission to Land, their first album, when that came out, it was like there'd been this huge dry spell for new rock bands that spoke to me in any way. That weren't supergroups formed by a bunch of other old guys. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is a band that's forged, you know, it's funny when you think about it, they've got a fair amount of music out there, but they were on hiatus for almost a decade.
Yeah, that's right too. I keep forgetting about that.
From well, maybe not almost a decade, but I mean, there was a gap of 7 years between One Way Ticket to Hell and Hotcakes, so 7-year gap, but since they've regrouped, they've been kicking out albums.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is after all this time, they still haven't put out a live DVD Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of market for that kind of stuff, unfortunately.
But I'm wondering if wasn't there a documentary that was supposed to come out on that?
Yes.
Whatever happened to that? Does anybody know?
Yeah. I mean, just to give you an example on the whole live thing, Iron Maiden's last big package, I buy them every time pretty much they put out an album. They do like a live tour. And this time it was released free on the internet. The video part of it, if you bought the box set package. So this is the Book of Souls live chapter or whatever.
Yeah.
And it was only the live tracks on CD. They didn't release you can't buy the video. They just released it for whatever reason for free on the internet.
So obviously, demand is not there.
Iron Maiden can't do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that there was a time when they could have and should have done one, and maybe that passed. But there was, back in the downloading days, probably a really good 45-minute video of them from their first tour in Boston, somewhere in the States. Yeah. And it was high quality, so it was like, does this exist? Did this come out? But I don't think that it did.
This sounds familiar.
This is called Heart Explodes. I think this is the second video they put out.
Might have seen a lyric video or something.
Yeah.
I really tried not to.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Back in the old days, the band would release the first single from the album a month or so in advance of the album coming out. And at most, you know, back in the cassette single days or CD single days, you might hear that song and one other song from the album, the B-side. And then the album came out and most of it was unheard. Now, sometimes it's up to a year after the first single comes out before some artists put their album up. So I really like to hear them in context of where they sit on the album. You know, the guys in Rush have said they missed the days of vinyl because there was something about side one opener, side one closer, side two opener. It was like having two openers, and they really think about the pacing of the album, the sequencing that way. And I think these guys do too. If there is a concept of this album, the songs are probably meant to be in a particular order. I showed my wife this album cover when you showed it to me. I'm like, check this out. It's the new Darkness album. And I'm like, I was kind of like, and she said, yeah, but think about how many times The Last Supper has been parodied. I said, yeah, you're right. Yeah. And another thing about this band, sometimes you don't realize the lyrics. You don't realize the songs are meant to be funny until you read the lyrics.
Yeah.
So you follow on the lyrics, because sometimes he doesn't sing them for comedic effect, but then you read them and go.
There's quite a few nuggets like that on Pinewood Smile.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I will say this too: they know how to run social media. You know, not every band does. Van Halen. But they understand the power of social media, because it does create a buzz. I would be looking for a new Darkness album anyway, but it just increases the.
Who's to say how big they would even be without?
Especially nowadays, they're not on a major label. They're putting the records up themselves, but in some ways they're probably making just as much profit from the sales, because I know that major labels take a lot of money from the artists for promoting, for doing what they're supposed to be doing, and the biggest thing is distribution, making sure the albums get to all the corners of the world, which is probably how I ended up with cassette versions of their first two albums, because by the time they came out, they weren't making cassettes over here. Actually, this is a good segue. Matt was going to sacrifice the film. He was going to open up this cassette. We got our little hi-fi unit over here playing the CD, but we were going to try to play the cassette.
I haven't listened to a cassette, actually sat down and listened to a cassette in 20 years.
Yeah, probably more. And so I brought a spare Ace Frehley's Trouble Walkin', if anybody's counting, just to see if the cassette player worked, and I put it in for a few seconds, and I heard that awful sound, and I hit stop, and it was all wound up inside of it, and I salvaged it, but I think, no, we're not gonna risk a brand new cassette. Bands are doing it though; they're putting new albums out of cassettes, so hopefully someone's building better quality cassette decks to play these in. If you you suppose we'll see a resurgence in the Walkman?
Oh my!
I'm surprised Sony hasn't put out. And they might next year, because I'm pretty sure 1980 was when the Walkman first came out in Japan, so they could do a 40th anniversary of. Yes, 1980 will be 40 years ago.
A few people that follow your channel that would definitely buy one of those.
Oh, Todd's a huge cassette nut. I don't know how. Todd, answer me this: if you got spare cassette decks, because you're always out in the deck playing cassettes, I'm like, how do you find one that number one works? I'd be so afraid of, you're listening to something grooving like.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, there's tape everywhere.
Sadly, I got rid of my only cassette deck earlier this year. I kind of regretted it, but space and just keeping old stuff, and same thing with the VCR.
The cassettes, I'm still buying cassettes if I see them bands I like. The VHS tapes I had to give up because they take up so much more space too. Except for the two Y&T home videos, I couldn't give those up because they're rare. They've never been put out.
Tim, is this still Heart Explodes, or is this on a deck chair?
This is deck chair.
Okay.
This is mellow.
Yeah. Never heard.
It's a kind of a different sound for them.
Almost Western or.
Well, Western, but it reminds me of her. I mean, I hate to use Queen comparisons because it's such an easy. But this reminds me of. This reminds me of something like Lily of the Valley from Sheer Heart Attack, or parts of stuff from the first couple of albums, like White Queen. Very much so. I mean. And that's an easy target. It was always an easy target for Queen, but now even more because they got Roger Taylor's son. But now this
is the title track.
Yep. Easter is canceled. Yeah.
Okay.
And they come up with great riffs.
I love that they have all the dynamics in their songs and stuff. Though, that it's because they could do an entire album of just riff, 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 riff.
No, that's a Queen trait that they picked up. Not just Queen, but lots of other bands. But I think it's more of a 70s thing where you don't have basically 10 variations on a theme. And look, we grew up listening to bands that just basically did that and we loved it. Mm-hmm. But there is something to be said for dynamics.
Yeah.
and even within the songs, there's a almost a complicated time signature.
They're not progressive. Like
no, but they've got chops. Like they've got the chops to do it. They're very smart with their arrangements. I love their arrangements. You can tell they've put thought into writing their songs.
I wonder if they're like we have a sound check, we're going to jam on some riffs that we've been playing around with, and I wonder if they actually go and set aside, here's 3 months, we're going to go somewhere and record an album, or if they've been kind of writing these riffs at sound checks for like a year, or...
I think they're always coming up with things. I don't know, it would be fun if they, did like a Led Zeppelin 3 and all went to a remote location, wrote the album, and then came back.
Yeah.
But
I will say, at least, like, from what I've heard from this so far, like these last 3 albums, I would say any of these songs can be sort of interchangeable with the album, so it's not like they're...
Musically, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I know Last of Our Kind was sort of a Viking concept. Pinewood Smile really didn't have a concept per se. This one does. But, yeah, sonically, they've settled into a,
Yeah, it's not like a different era of like where you have Alice Cooper did his weird phase. Alice Cooper did his...
he did his metal phase, or he did his new metal phase, yeah. Did you catch that? There's like a little synthesizer. It's like a Tom Sawyer.
Oh, okay. Oh.
It's hard. We realize from here it's hard to get the dynamics. Also, I don't really particularly want to copyright strike.
Just giving it. This band goes without saying. At the very top of my want to see them.
Want to see them at con? They never come here.
Yeah. I think they'll play Boston, which is like 10 hours away for us. But maybe someday.
Maybe they'll play Harvest Jazz and Blues. I mean,
yeah, right.
You never know.
Or come back with Def Leppard in the Darkness.
Oh, that would be awesome. And I might add,
Poison in the Darkness.
Yeah, Logical.
Yeah.
These guys have the spirit.
Definitely won't be Bon Jovi in the Darkness.
No. Which, John Bon Jovi's gone on record at slamming them, which is a shame because, in my opinion, they're continuing a fun tradition of rock and roll that he turned his back on years ago when he decided he wanted to be Springsteen. Just my opinion.
I never realized that until people started saying it, and they're like, oh.
He wanted to be the voice of the people. It's like, dude. Anyway, but Def Leppard or Poison, or all three. Because these guys have that spirit. They could have come out in the late 80s. Or could they have? Would people have, would they have been a little bit like Extreme where it's like, I don't know, they're kind of weird.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because they're so varied.
And then when they broke up, Justin goes off and does his own solo stuff, and then they...
Yeah.
Maybe it's best that they didn't.
Yeah, but,
they're a little too young for that.
But also, they would have been but I think that's why I got into this band, because there's a spirit there of melody, and they didn't have a grunge phase, and I love them for that. It was always very upbeat, and not that they don't have serious songs, because they do, but now this is called Heavy Metal Lover. Not to be confused with Helix, yeah. Do you know they toured with Helix overseas?
I heard about that.
Yeah, now that would have been fun.
Love to see them again live too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. You don't know what you're gonna get. It feels so metal when you're by my side.
Whoa. That was like the voice from the Barbarian.
Yeah.
This is like one of those. Here's 3 little bits or 2 little bits of songs that was kind
We'll just kind of Frankenstein them together. Yeah.
Cool.
The lyrics to this are quite funny too. There's also a kind of another funny picture in here. If you can see that very well from there. But, bass player Frankie Pillane.
Yeah.
He always wears the striped suits.
Yeah. I'm not sure. So they had.
He said, "Hold on." He said something about favorite power ballad. I gotta research that.
I saw a video of them.
Your favorite power ballad is Chopped in Half. That's probably Cannibal Corpse or something like that. And there's another one that says, let's see, maybe they're just getting to it. Yes, I love your denim, and I love your ink. None more metal, elegance and grace. We make sweet love to hammer smashed face. I recognize that song title too. That's another. I don't know. If it's like, I'm not up on my. Yeah. I'm not up on my super, heavy duty metal, but yet other than the parts of it, it doesn't particularly sound. I'm sorry, you were saying there was an interview.
Oh, you were talking about the favorite power ballad.
Yeah.
And I just actually saw a recent video someone recorded. It might have been a Facebook Live thing with them, and they were like, "What's your favorite power ballad?" I think they said "Every Rose Has Its Thorn," and then they got off on some other topic or whatever. But
yeah. Well, that just shows you where.
I've never considered that to be a
power ballad. Yeah. I think that any ballad that becomes a hit for a rock band, they kind of call it a power ballad. To me, here we go.
The whole power ballad thing, I find, is one, when people look down on the music that we kind of grew up on, that's one of the things that they talk about as being like
But the other thing too, I mean, we're talking about the New Darkness stuff, but we're also talking about that era because inevitably that's our base.
Yeah.
Whatever else we collectively listen to, that's our base. But if you consider, the ballads that were hits from like 88 through to 91, yeah, some of them sounded the same, but most of them didn't. I mean, if you Every Rose Has a Thorn doesn't sound anything like I Remember You.
Yeah, they have some of the same chords
yeah.
and everything, but it's like...
yeah, I think it's kind of a... To me, it's sloppy journalism. It's like, you're dismissive of it anyway, you've already made up your mind you don't like it. It's like hair metal. I mean, that's a stupid catch-all expression.
I say it myself, but I don't...
It's only because people tend to know what you mean.
Yeah. When you say 80s metal, I mean, that could be...
So to me, 80s metal sounds like Maiden and Priest, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about 80s hard rock.
In Another Life.
Yeah.
Lots of little ballady interludes. Not interludes, but like intros.
Yeah, and the other cool thing about it is that a lot of times these songs don't end how they start. There is dynamics written in.
He's got such a great voice.
Yeah.
Putting in some of the Easter, Every Other Day and Ascension.
Uh-huh. It's, this one kind of reminds me a little bit of, you talk about power ballads.
Yep.
Love's Only a Feeling.
Okay.
That's a power ballad.
Yes.
It's got lots of electric guitar and... Yeah, see, to me, if it was a tongue-in-cheek, if they were a joke, they couldn't write music like this. Like, they take that part of it seriously, but And also, based on anything I've ever seen, I think they'd just be a lot of fun to see in concert too. Not only would you enjoy the music, but I just think it'd be a fun show to be at. It'd be like a Poison show or Brett. It would be, we're here to have a good time, you know?
From what the little bits of shows of theirs that I have seen, they're not like they're not so rigid as to, like sometimes they'll add little bits to songs, or he'll do some different crowd chants or whatever.
Yeah, like the DVD Blu-ray thing. To me, a perfect time if they were going to even offer one free is if they did one for the Live at Hammersmith.
Yeah, I kind of thought that was going to be a release because you've seen a couple of those videos.
Yeah.
Maybe that's going to be part of the documentary.
Who knows? Yeah.
Being done by the people that are doing the YNT documentary.
I get it. They're on the same timetable, although I guess that's nearing completion.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is good. I haven't heard anything on it that didn't. I know we're talking over it, but it's all kind of just sounding. Yeah, it's it's the Darkness doing what they do. You know? I don't know if the band ever get to watch, if it stumbles upon this video by mistake, put Hotcakes and Last of Our Kind out in cassettes, and there's people like us that will buy them.
Still trying to find a vinyl for that one.
Yeah. That's probably my least favorite of their albums, but I still like it. To me, it's just there are no real standout tracks on it. It all just kind of, it's all, to me, it's good, not great.
Yep.
Whereas all of their albums collectively, there might be songs that I'm not as big into as others, but they've all got songs that to me are just awesome, awesome songs. I would say about at least half of every one of the Darkness albums, except Hotcakes, feature songs that are just awesome, and the rest of them are just good. They're just good songs. To me, let's check. Well, we got them all here. Who has produced their last few albums? Dan Hawkins produced Last of Our Kind. Who produced Pinewood Smile? Oh, this is a charming, another ballad called Choke on It. Somewhere David Coverdale is smirking. I think they're mad. I was glancing through the lyrics. I think they're mad at someone on this song.
Okay.
No, Pinewood Smile was produced by someone named Adrian Bushby. Unless that's a pseudonym. Sometimes people will do that because the label will say, no, you have to have a producer, so they make up a name. Who produced Hotcakes?
Oh boy, this is an angry song.
Yeah. Probably some bad business dealings, maybe. Maybe it's directed at somebody from Atlantic. I don't know.
Ooh.
Well, this is interesting. Don't think I noticed this. Hotcakes.
Yeah.
Produced by Dan Hawkins, Justin Hawkins, Nick Brine. Track 1 co-produced by Bob Ezrin and engineered and mixed by Bob Ezrin.
Oh, okay.
That's interesting because this was not a major label release.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't have the deluxe version of this either.
Okay. So is that the Radiohead?
That's the one with Street Spirit. Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if that was a bonus edition track. But
No, that's on the one I have too. I think it's the last song on the one I have.
And that was their last album with Eddie on drums.
Yes, and yeah. So it's been it's always been the brothers.
Yep. And
Frankie Plain only didn't play on the second album. But where I was going with that was so Dan's producing, pretty much. And to me, this sounds every bit as good as their first two albums. Mm-hmm. I can't remember who did the first one, but Roy Thomas Baker did the second one, you know. So it's not like I just think if you're really adept, really good, you're understanding things, you don't necessarily have to hire a name producer, especially nowadays where you can do it yourself. And I mean, if I was in a young up and coming rock band, I'd, approach him and say, look, would you produce us? Mm-hmm. You obviously have a set of ears for the kind of rock we want to do.
Yeah. I think this This is a song where he's taking a jab at Liam Gallagher from Oasis.
Oh, based on the affectation in his voice? Ah.
Who just put out an album not too long ago.
Liam?
Yeah, yeah.
Strange that Liam Gallagher would have a beef with anyone in the music industry. And again, like the Bon Jovi thing, I'm sure they love those guys. They probably love Oasis music.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Hmm. And in this day and age, like, you know, when I read that such and such has a beef with such and such, to me it's like slow week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you go to any of the...
You want Blabbermouth to talk about you for a couple days? So this is the last song on the album proper called We Are the Guitar Men.
This is like mission. I'd say this is like a mission statement song. Like,
trying not to cry. I grab her by the neck and strike her with a plectrum. A life without a company would wreck me, so I hope we never part. Give me the time, extension of my soul. Holding my arms.
Just first listen. This kind of reminds me of a song I really like on Last of Our Kind, Wheels of the Machine.
oh yeah.
A little bit.
Yep.
At least this part of it.
Here a little bit.
Yeah.
The 80s synth thing.
It's almost like Stranger Things. Settled into a groove I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. So this is the last song, and then
the standard
we
version.
get into the bonus tracks.
Yeah.
I mentioned that on Pinewood Smile, some of the bonus tracks were some of my favorite songs from the
You
album.
could almost reverse the order and say,
Yeah.
these are the keepers.
If you have Pinewood Smile, but you don't have the deluxe version,
It's worth seeking
do
out.
go get that.
Yeah, yeah.
I almost bought the deluxe edition of The Last of Our Kind. It's on Amazon again. Super cheap.
I
You
have
have
it
it?
actually. I bought a used copy of it. Yeah. To me, the bonus tracks in there. Look, there's a high standard of quality. I don't think they're as good as the ones on Time and Smile, and they're just worth getting at some point. But yeah, those are strong songs. Except maybe Uniball, but even that's got cool parts to it. But Rocket Glam is great, and Seagulls, yeah. Rock in Space is just fun. I like that. That reminds me so much of Starfleet. Well, not to mention Doctor Who.
Yeah, exactly.
I know we're having a lot of conversations here, assuming you already know everything about the darkness, but
Presumably, if you're watching this video,
if you've watched it this long, especially, you're like, dear God, these guys like to talk. But the harmonies are like there's a lot of Queen in there. The way that they arrange the harmonies, because multiple voices there too. Rufus Taylor's a decent singer on his own. I don't think he doesn't sound anything like Roger. He's not raspy like his dad. But. Yeah, there is this. I like that they'll throw in synth occasionally too. That's very Brian May. And that's Steve Vai or Eddie Van Halen.
So is that a synthesizer?
No, that's guitar. I think
just
that's guitar with a phaser and a whatever.
Yeah.
Harmonizer.
Yes. There we go.
So that was the album proper. This one's called Lay Low, one word, Lay Low.
The lyrics for that one are actually in this one.
They are, yeah.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. His name check.
Ari Delevingne and Rita Ora.
Oh, wow. Even though even these bonus tracks have a little bit of Easter kind of like
Yeah.
hip, even of dreams.
Interesting.
What do you suppose he's talking about there?
Sounds like backstage.
Yeah.
The Sparkle Lounge.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they haven't teamed up with Def Leppard for a tour.
Yeah.
Or White Snake.
Yeah.
You just set the rhyme with Dora.
At first I thought they were talking about this is Sanctuary. I thought they were talking about Sanctuary Records, like what they do in like Haven of Dreams.
Yeah. That's, I mean, it's definitely open to interpretation. Some ambience of party going.
Okay.
Glass,
So some kind of backstage
general
thing,
chatter, yeah. Some fun little hand claps in there.
I love that they're still doing like little production things like that with their
Yeah.
records, even though they don't have the gigantic
Yeah.
record label budget that they would have had like on the first two albums.
Yeah.
They're still doing the.
I actually think that. Oh, missed a bit of something there.
This is, go ahead, Tim.
Different eyes.
There's a. Oh, yeah, okay.
I actually think that you talk about big budget, I actually think that first album of theirs,
Yep.
not that every song on there sounds the same, but it's not as varied as what they've been doing.
Yes.
Now I think that the second album was quite varied, but that had a lot to do with Roy Thomas Baker.
Okay.
That they probably, and that was just a natural fit. I'm glad they got to do one album with him.
Yeah.
It was just like the logical.
Yeah. Is he?
I think he still produces, yeah. Some of these guys retired, some of them don't. Like, I think Ted Templeman's retired, but I think Bob Ezrin still produces. Jack Douglas.
Oh wow.
But I think that those older guys tend to work with bands that they worked with back in the day. Like Bob Ezrin, or bands of the era. Like I know Bob Ezrin produced the last couple of Deep Purple records, but he never worked with them in the 70s.
Okay.
And a lot of veteran bands are producing themselves. I know Whitesnake has kind of been an in-house thing, and I think Def Leppard they've, kind of had their own crew going on. Speaking of Def Leppard, we're going to have another review episode in the weeks to follow, the brand new Down and Outs album. So just to give you a preview of what to expect. What else we got coming up? If you're a fan of The Darkness, chances are you're a fan of Queen, not necessarily, but there's a new Queen episode that's going to be coming up in the next little while as well, so just kind of... And we're also thinking about doing a wrap-up episode from the best albums of 2019, and, a few more... Got to listen to this a few more times to know if it makes it there, but it's certainly not going to make the worst list, I love the fact that the bands I like are still putting out new material to develop an opinion on, to give it a listen. This is different for them. Although it does sound like it sounds very much like something that could have been on Pinewood Smile. It just wasn't. And that's another thing. I mean, we have no way of knowing unless we hear them say it whether some of these songs had been around for a while before they actually recorded them. I think I hear a banjo. They're both guitar players, both of the Hawkins brothers.
Yeah.
So I get the idea that either of them would just pick up an instrument and fiddle around with it.
That time of the evening, something a little bit different. Ladies and gentlemen, the darkness.
This is called Confirmation Bias.
Oh boy.
Spoken introduction on Confirmation Bias, Melanie Hawkins.
Somebody's wife?
I think, Justin Hawkins' wife is named Sarah.
Okay.
So it could be Dan's wife.
When they gaze upon me, I love your hands. When they are applauding my achievements, I love your mind. Recognize my genius, but I hate it. They say it's confirmation bias. I hate it. They say it's
I don't think I've ever heard him sing this low.
Yeah. You picture him like, is the idea he's like by himself on the stage in front of
Yeah.
kind of like...
Sounds like he's trying to sing like Leonard Cohen or something.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to notice that the little, in their logo,
Yes.
the thing off the D forms like a
the
devil's tail.
The tail, yeah.
Has it always been like that?
It's a good question.
Yes, it has. It's all the way back to the first album. Yeah.
Cause I made you do it. I love your heart.
This is one of those, they have a few songs where they sort of play it straight, if you like.
Yep. I'm trying to see if, Dan thanks Melanie Hawkins for her tireless support.
Now the audience, the beginning of the song, Claudia Starnes, Jameson Starnes, Matilda Hawkins, that could be their mother, Darcy Hawkins, Kit Hawkins. Siblings?
Yeah.
This is interesting. Rufus Taylor thanks Pete Malandrone for putting my name forward to the guys before I joined the band.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like
that name?
So it's not like they So it's not like they sought him out. But a lot of these bands, touring bands, they share road crews, they share booking agents. So they might have said, "Hey, I know a guy would be perfect for you guys." So. It's interesting too, because we've seen enough live clips. He can do that live too. He probably has bad nights, but
And while moving around.
yeah, they don't just stand. I mean, this is a song I'm thinking he'd be standing still. There's the polite clapping again.
This is probably not the song I would put on when I want to go for a cruise, and
No.
this is more of a sit around and
Yeah.
Yeah. Just gonna check on things again. One more song left.
He ends the song. Thank you. And the final song is called Sutton Who. Now, I don't know if it's, we're only left to speculate here by what's in the liner notes, but it says, where did I see that? Oh no, sorry, that's not the same. I have no idea what this means. I don't know if it's a place name.
A ghost town in the east. I'll look that up actually.
Yeah.
Sutton Who. Okay. So people that know history are going to know about this. So it's it's a site of some 6th and 7th century cemeteries. So there's a big ship burial. It's got a lot of Anglo-Saxon artifacts. So this is
Yeah, there's a line in here that says, in the hull as the floating Saxons neared.
okay.
Definitely not your average lyrics.
Yeah, check out the Wikipedia entry on this one sometime. Wow.
So you can learn stuff from watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions.
Some really ornate helmets and buckles, and so it's something to do with when the Anglo-Saxons, when the Romans, like, so in the year 410, following the withdrawal of the Romans, so withdrawal of the Romans from the UK.
Well, obviously we need to, digest this album a little bit further, listen to it a few times.
Yeah,
but
what
I
do you
mean, I'm
think so
just
far?
not. I'm liking it,
Yeah. The 3 bonus tracks, for me, I would say on first listen, maybe not necessary this time unless you're really super. Like, they seem to, all 4 of them are pretty chill.
Yeah, I can see why they didn't fit into the running order of the album
Yeah.
itself. That doesn't mean they're bad. It just means that. Yeah, you're right. There's been no
Huge
rockers,
yeah.
and I was actually kind of waiting for one of these to all of a sudden dun dun, like to come kind of go into that, but no. Of course, this isn't done yet. This could.
Well, what did you think of the tracks?
Um,
The track and
Just going back, Rock and Roll Deserves to Die is cool, and they picked that as the flagship track for sure, for a reason. Heavy Metal Lovers is kind of fun. Choke on It, give that another listen. And all right, well, that's the album. I just heard it go. Since this is an old CD player and it doesn't have a listening for it. As a matter of fact, watch this.
uh-oh.
No, I'm not going to do that when it's on top of your turntable,
Oh,
but
yeah.
to get the CD out of it, you kind of have to Fonzie it. But they did it again.
Yeah.
Consistency. Yeah, I'm got to digest it a few more times, but we're not sitting here going, let's pick on an album. Let's pick on Saint Anger.
Oh,
Imagine
okay.
if we were doing this back when that came out.
Yeah, and actually, when that's around the time that their first album came out.
Yeah, it's like, wow, what would you rather listen to? But yeah, I've never done one of these listening sessions yet where I've gone, what is this?
Yeah.
Or is the song done yet? So, like I said, they've done it again. They're very consistent, and it's another, if you're not already a Darkness fan, this is not going to sway you.
No.
But if you are, then I guess Easter is canceled. Thanks for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions.